Pay attention. It's not hard, and no trick questions. But quizzes and lots of questions, I did that. Many times, I would give a quiz, and then I would say, okay, after we take 5 questions, we would exchange them and grade the quiz in class. A lot of times I would do that. So here we've gone over the material in class. They took a quiz on it. They heard the material again, the 3 characteristics of a mammal. And then we gave the answers as we graded it. I would say, okay, now pass these quizzes in, please. And they would pass them all in. And I would say, now, we have 7 minutes left. Take out another piece of paper, please. And I would give them the exact same quiz again in the same hour. Same 5 questions, nothing changed. Number 1, list the characteristics of a mammal. I would tell the students, if you got a 100 or a 90 or an above on this first quiz, you don't need to take this second quiz. If you got less than a 90 or less than an 80 or some number, you take this quiz again. One time, I gave the same 5-question quiz to a class of 7th graders 4 times in the same hour. Exactly same quiz. I had 2 kids flunked it every time. They flunked it with about a 10 the first time, and then their grade came up to a 20 and to a 30, and by the 4th time they were just shocked. They said, man, I should have been paying attention. I've heard this. Oh. And it just dramatically illustrated to them, pay attention. That's all there is to it, and you can get all this stuff. And then I would count the highest of their quiz grades for the score. For testing, these are some ideas that I've gleaned through the years that are often helpful to people. And this, again, may sound radical. These are just ideas. You can take them or leave them. If you don't like them, don't use them. But these are some that I would do occasionally. On tests, especially if it was kind of a major test, I would often tell the students 2 days before the test, we're going to have a test on Friday. On Wednesday, I would say, okay, everybody clear your desk. No pencils, no paper, everything on the floor, nothing on your desk. And then I would walk around and pass out the test. And my tests were pretty thorough. There were lots of questions. I tried to have lots of questions. And I made it where it was quick to take the test. I don't like essay necessarily. They're harder to grade and a lot of variables in there. So I avoided those as much as possible. But I would actually pass out the test. I would say, now students, you're not allowed to take any notes. Don't write anything down. You cannot even have a pencil or pen in your hand or on your desk. But let's go over the test. Notice question number 1. What are the 3 characteristics of a mammal? Susan, what do you think they are? And we would discuss the test on Wednesday. And this is the very same test they're going to see again on Friday. So again, there's no surprises. There may be lots of material to study for. And it may be a hard test in that there's a lot to learn. But it's not a hard test in that you don't know what's coming. Because you know what's coming. You've already seen it. And we would actually go through the entire test. You say, well, you're studying for the test. Well, check the kids 10 years later and see what they remember under my system and see what they remember under other systems. You'll find students retain the information the rest of their life frequently. You can see them years later say, oh, I remember that. You could give them the same test 5 years later and they still pass it. Not because they studied for the test, but because they really honestly learned the material. It went into their brain, which was the idea to begin with. During that 2-day before time when we're going over the questions, that's a good time to eliminate unfair questions or to find mistakes. The student says, hey, Mr. Hovind, look at number 17. You got a mistake on that one. I say, oh, hey, you're right. Everybody can correct number 17 right now. Or I would correct it on my copy, and then when we took the test, I would say, now don't forget, number 17 has a mistake. Be sure to change that. And it made it overly fair, where the students had all seen, they knew what to expect, they knew it was coming. Even final exams, I did that from time to time. Pass out the final 2 or 3 days before the test, go over it, let them look at it, discuss it, ask any questions they want about it. I would collect the test back, and then we'd go on with our lesson. So now you've seen, you know what's coming, you know what to study for. I suggest you study for it. And the students really seem to enjoy that. It took some of the pressure off of them because, again, they've got enough pressure. Another idea, a different subject, is to have a special grading system for special students that have a particular problem. We had a girl in California in our school, first day, actually before school started, her parents came to me and said, Mr. Hovind, our daughter is 19 and she's still a senior. She's had a hard time in school. She just doesn't catch on as quickly as other students, and she panics. She tightens up because of the pressure, and her brain goes to jelly when she's under pressure. We're worried she's not even going to graduate this year. She should have graduated last year or 2 years ago, and she's already behind. She's failed several times. And What can we do? And she was there in the room. And I said, well, how about if we do this? I will promise you, if she will do her best, she'll pass my class. If she's only capable of getting a 60, then for her, a 60 is an A. I'm going to give a special grading scale just for her in my class. Now, don't tell anybody else about this. Since our school cannot really have a special ed department, we're going to have a special grading scale just for your daughter here. And all I've got to ask you is that if I feel she is working up to her potential, she's going to get an A. Her eyes lit up and said, are you serious? I said, yep. Don't worry about it. You do your best. If you can only get 50% of what we cover, then 50 is an A for you. It took all the pressure off of that girl. I never had to use that special grading scale one time all year. Because the pressure was gone, she was relaxed. Hey, I can handle this now. And that's really what she needed. She's now at Bible college studying to serve the Lord. And I saw her a couple of weeks ago when I spoke at that college, and it was great. She's doing wonderful. But some special students need special help. Now, some schools have a vocational diploma, a separate diploma, where if a student can't meet, they just can't make it. They can't get algebra and geometry and trig. You're never going to teach it to them. So you have a certain number of courses they take, and you have a vocational diploma, and it protects the school's reputation. On their transcript, it says, Joe Blow completed high school, but is not recommended for college. If a college chooses to take him, that's fine, but it's all spelled out. Hey, this is not the normal product we turn out. This kid's not recommended for college. He didn't really meet our high school standards, but there's no sense keeping a kid till he's 25 to make him graduate. Failing him year after year after year. Give them a load they can handle, to whom much is required. Given of him shall much be required. And some people God hasn't given as much to. So a special grading system really helps. You may want to have a FTA, Future Teachers of America, where some of your brighter students can be used during class time to help some of these students that aren't catching on as quickly. Say, look, John, you caught on to this pretty quickly. Would you go over and help Mary for the next few minutes and help her? Or maybe you want to keep same-sex, boys with boys and girls with girls. And you got to watch that. It'll get out of hand. But many times that is excellent training for the student who's helping the other student, and they may end up being a teacher someday when they realize how fun it is to help somebody learn something. So using other students to help slower students is a great, great tool. Many teachers, I think, are jealous of their authority, and they don't want anybody else teaching those kids but me. Well, it's time to grow up. You know, other people can teach them things also. I tried for years in my teaching to minimize homework. I had lots of work, and my kids worked hard in my classes, but my homework was always on the board a week ahead of time. And I tried desperately to see to it that they could get nearly all of my work done in class. I talked fast, and we would study hard and work hard for the hour and give them the last 5 minutes. And if there are 10 questions, I have found most students don't get started. That's their problem. Getting started is half the job. I would say, okay, students, we have 5 minutes left. Take out a piece of paper. You got these 20 questions to do tomorrow. In class, we're going to go ahead and do question 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we would get 1, 2, 3, and 4 done in class before they walk out the door. Now, psychologically, there's a relief that kids thinking, hey, I've already started. It wasn't that hard. Let's finish. While we're very slowly doing those 4 questions, the brighter kids, of course, are reading ahead, and they've already answered all 20 of them and have no homework that night. But getting them started was over half the job in many cases. That's the way it is with me. You know, if you're going to wax the car, get started. Do one fender. If you only got 10 minutes, you don't have time to do the whole car, well, do part of it. And then you'll say, oh, well, I've already started. Now it's time. I can finish it. So doing homework in class, minimizing homework, was to me a great way to maximize family time. I would think the students ought to go home and spend time with mom and dad. Have family time. Not to have 10 hours of homework. I've always hated that. If you do your work in class, you can cover the material quickly enough. During class time, if I gave them 5 minutes at the end of class to study, I would walk around the room and see what they're doing.